back here to Good Day, Kentucky. We're very lucky to have Dr. DaMaris B. Hill here, professor of creative writing, English, and very cultural studies over at the University of Kentucky. And you're actually our producer Cameron's favorite professor, so we had to get you on today. And we want to talk about Women's History Month. And so talk to us about some of your work over with the university.
Okay, so at the University of Kentucky, I am an English professor. I have a PhD in creative writing. I write fiction and poetry, but I'm also affiliated with the Department of Women's Studies, the Department of Digital Studies, American Studies, and African American Studies.
Wow. Now, why do you write specifically about women? Why? What intrigued you in order to do that and start getting into
Well, as someone who served in the military, at least 3 generations in my family, in my direct line. I'm a person that really believes in democracy, right? And so we can't talk about citizenship from one perspective. We have to talk about all of the different ways that citizenship is embodied. And no one has a single identity of just being a woman or just being a man or just being of an ethnic origin or a racial designation. So I talk about women because women aren't often talked about in these national narratives, but we contribute largely, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So why is it so important to have a time like Women's History Month? Why is this so important to highlight every year?
I think it's like our crash course, right? We were talking about college and how expensive college is, and you know, students are very invested in the experience of college, but in college they also experience like crash courses, like they need to know more. And I think when we do not emphasize Women's History Month or specialize in a time of the calendar where we study specific topics, that sometimes we forget that that our culture is so multifaceted and that everybody contributes.
Let me ask you this: who inspired you?
Oh my gosh.
As far as women.
So many women have inspired me. So many women. Creative writing wise, I was fortunate enough to do my master's thesis on Lucille Clifton, who was generous to me, very, very generous to me. She was a poet. Marita Golden, who is a fiction writer, very generous to me. Monifa Lavasanti, who is a fiction writer, a playwright, and a poet, very generous. When I think back in like historical time, I definitely think of Susan B. Anthony, Harriet Tubman. She was like an environmentalist, you know, of course, freed a number of people in the Underground Railroad, but she was also a military advisor not only to John Brown, but to the Union Army.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
I didn't know that
Yes, yes.
What are some of the female women-based organizations that people should learn more about? Or if you're interested in learning more, what can people do?
Well, my target organization right now is Shepherd's Hands.
Okay.
And Shepherd Hands focuses on placing homeless women veterans in Kentucky. So there are a large proportion of homeless people that are veterans, but there are a significantly large portion of women that come from, let's say, a battle station in their duty time, and they have a hard time readjusting to society, and they're having a hard time maintaining jobs and finding homes. So I like to volunteer with Shepherd Hands. But there's also the Girl Project, there's also Soul Hot Lex, there's also a lot of church and charity organizations that are religiously based. I'm affiliated with St. Paul AME Church, and so the Missionary Society there is available to us. There's the Women's Studies Department and the Violence Intervention Program at University of Kentucky.
Wow, we'll definitely post all that information
Absolutely.
over on our website. You have a book out that you wanted to talk about.
I do have a book out. So this book is entitled The Fluid Boundaries of Suffrage and Jim Crow, Staking Claims in the American Heartland. And we don't often talk about these states that are not on the coast as being states where women were very instrumental in the process of democracy and in political change. And so this book kind of highlights that and talks about migration patterns too. There are a lot of people in Kansas that actually migrated from Kentucky.
Interesting.
Wow, that's very interesting. Well, Dr. Hill, thank you so much for coming in. We are definitely going to follow back up with you. I'd love to hear more about the Shepherds Project that you're working with.
Oh, thank you so
Would
much.
love
Thank
that.
you for having me.
Thank you.